Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Well, welcome back. I am Leah, and I am joined by Katie and Bonnie sharing our political change gal. Bonnie already talked about Alice Roosevelt Longworth, and Katie already talked about Jeanette Rankin. But before we dive back in, I want to get to know something rebellious about our gal pals. I do have kind of a deep question, and I will say one selfishly that I would love any kind of answers or input or feeling or vibes on this answer. And my question is, how do rebel gals create movements that outlive them? Dun, dun, dun. We talk a lot about different movements, different women of history, and some of them get forgotten, but then some of them like inspire the next or are remembered consistently. And so thought I'd ask. It's kind of a mean question.
Well, I think you just kind of put your what is it called? Hand on the beat, pulse,
Yeah, pulse on
fingers on the pulse,
yes,
whatever
yeah.
that expression is
Yes.
like staying aware of what's coming next,
Yeah.
listening to the younger generations, listening to their voices, supporting them, uplifting them. I think as, we're all getting older, listening to those that are coming after us and hearing what's important to them and giving our support and feedback and helping support their movements, laying the groundwork to help see them succeed.
Yeah.
And then if we have something that we feel benefits us and them, helping find it, making a way that it can be inclusive for them and helping them take over those leadership positions is the format we have to focus on.
Yeah.
And I think it's just transcending different generations and making the ties that bind all of us women.
Yeah, exactly. Because it continues.
I think you get started. You do a thing, no matter how small it is, and you just, you can follow that with another thing and another thing, and you have to do something. Like, what is it? Like the longest journey started with a single step or something like
Confucius.
that.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. I mean, there's also this other horrible one that Basil doesn't like me saying, but it's how do you eat a whale? One bite at a time. Basil don't like that one, but it's true.
Well, and it's the one ripple at a time because it's not even a grand plan, but like everybody you meet in your life, you're going to make an impression on.
Yeah.
So if you're living your truth and you're living your beliefs
and planting seeds, right?
And planting those seeds that you're talking about, then you're influencing and making an impression on those around you.
Yeah, exactly. I take it. I feel like I'm still kind of trying to find the answer that is the most sticky to me, but I agree with everything y'all saying. Like all of that. And I'm sure there's more that I'm not even thinking of at the moment. But yeah, it is planting those seeds, sending out those ripples, and listening to how does this evolve? How does this, pass from one to another, to another, to another? The Olympic torch of it all, right?
Do you know where I actually find the hardest part for me? And it's kind of sad because it's my own experience. It's that I actually can share my own experience with other women, but I'm the parent of a boy.
Right, yeah.
And I want to set him up to be a good advocate for women.
Yeah.
But I feel kind of less equipped for that.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like I don't know, I want to try to share women's experiences, but I have less of a knowledge of how to share how he can be a great male advocate.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, like, I don't have the I've been in your shoes thing.
Right.
But I suppose I should have the, like, I know how men should be for women, but yet I don't because I haven't often had that male advocate that filled that role very well for me.
Mhm.
So I don't know what that blueprint is to share, if that kinda is making
Yeah.
sense.
Well, it's also helpful because even if you have daughters, the idea of, well, now they have to pass on this legacy, that's a lot of pressure on them. So
Yeah,
it is kind of in the sense of, well, you could be disappointed if you have ladies surrounding you that go, nope, not my burden to bear. Sorry, peace out. So, yeah, I think being a good advocate or just being a good person is such a nice
yeah,
ripple and be like, oh, well, let's see where that leads.
yeah.
A
Well, I
big
wanna see
thing
even
a big thing that I've seen women doing, like what our generation's doing, is teaching men to, like, as teenagers, stopping the what's it called? Like intentional incompetence. I forget what that's called. Weaponized incompetence
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
of, you ask
Mhm.
your teenager
Well, I
to
just
wash the
don't
dishes
know.
and he does a shitty job, hoping you'll never ask him again to do the dishes.
Right,
They grow up to men doing that to their partners, or even
right.
their freaking roommates.
Mhm.
Like, so I've seen women like getting on their boys of like, we
Mhm.
don't do this,
Right.
like
We
calling them
share the
out,
load. We learn the things. Yeah.
and then just talking to men about like their emotions, that it's okay to have other emotions besides anger, because that
Right.
seems to be like the thing that's been taught in the past, is you can only express anger.
Mhm. There's a whole vast of emotions. I mean, the movie Inside Out is a great example. Pick one of those. I think it's up to 7 now if you watch the
Woo!
sequels.
Yeah,
Of
ennui.
exactly. That ennui, yeah. Fantastic. I like it. Thank you. Y'all help me today. I'm getting closer. Would you like to hear who I have for you? That's okay.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So the world is quite very heavy with politics, and then like also later this month in Popcorn Gals, which is our Gals Guide movie group, I'm going to be talking about the women's movement from the 60s and 70s, which is also kind of heavy as well. That beautiful documentary is called She's Beautiful When She's Angry. Highly recommend. Can't wait to be talking about it. So, because that's going to be an in depth, real political, meaty conversation, like any well rounded diet, I wanted something a little lighter. But also kind of stayed in that lane of political change. So I have for you an amazing gal who is the first Chinese woman to vote in America and a pinball wizard. This is the balance of life that I really kind of needed.
Did it
Uh,
still count as gambling when she was doing it?
yes.
Nice.
Yes. Because it's Chinatown and it was very much in the gambling gaming district. So, yes.
Nice.
But yes, it seems like a jump, but I trust me, it is totally worth it. And somehow it makes sense in her life. And we're all in this together. So, it's going to be great. So, my gal is Tye Leung Schulze. And I learned about this amazing lady from the National Park Service. And I wanted to give them a shout out because I probably wouldn't have found her on my own. So thank you to the NPS because I love them. So Ty was born in San Francisco's Chinatown, and we're talking about 1887 Chinatown, which was crowded, which was poor, which was heavily under the will of the government, which basically just means racist. I mean, I just want to paint it like it was just, Chinatown bad. We need to control it. Racism. Yes, exactly. Ty was in a house with her parents growing up. Her 7 siblings were in the house, her elderly aunt and uncle, as well as her parents. So that was 12 people in a crowded apartment on Ross Alley in San Francisco. I nearly lived in San Francisco. I technically lived there for one day before I said fuck no and then grabbed all my stuff and moved back out. Apartments are small then. I can only imagine in 1887 Chinatown. Very, very small. Ty's parents were immigrants from Guidong province in China. Her mother in Chinatown ran a boarding house, and her father worked at a shoe shop for $20 a month. Yeah. So that's not bringing in a lot. Ty recalled in an essay that she wrote that she used to go to 2 gambling houses to get leftover meals so that her family of 12 could be fed. Yeah. Can you imagine asking? the gamblers. Have you guys ever watched any of the Chinatown TV series that are out there? Or the
Mm.
okay. There's a great one on HBO. I'm just saying. But Ty was 9 when she was sent by her mother to go work as a servant in another house. But what had actually happened, because what had happened was Ty was actually sold to that family. Like they sold her. She didn't know. She was wondering why they were being so mean to her. And she's like, what? So she told her uncle, and her uncle then, of course, found out the truth of the situation, and he got her to come back home. So, yay. But then when Ty was a teenager, and we're talking either 12 or 14 years old, like barely teenager, 12 to me is tween, she was placed in an arranged marriage to a much older man from Butte, Montana. And what had actually happened was her oldest sister was supposed to marry this man from Butte, Montana, but she ran away with her boyfriend, and Ty was the only other girl. And so it's like, who cares if she's 12 or 14? She's gonna have to fit the bill to the butt from Montana. See what I did there? Sorry, it's Butte and
Mm.
butt, and I was just like,
Oh,
no.
that's messed up.
Ty was not
What
having
year
it.
is this?
This is like 1890s. Yeah, but she straight off refused. She's like, there's no way in hell. So she ran away. She ran away to the Presbyterian mission, which she went to preschool at. She learned English there. She went to church there. And more importantly, she felt safe there. So Donaldina Cameron felt compassion for Ty and placed her under her wing. So Donaldina gave her a place to stay at the mission, and also showed her a place where she could live and where she could learn. So she was very well educated there. The mission was also a place that was safer than the streets for young girls because prostitution was extremely common. If it wasn't prostitution for young girls on the street, it was the brothels, which was organized prostitution for young girls. So it was one of those things where it was very, very grateful that she had a place that she could run away to not marry the butt from Montana. But Ty stayed at this mission and she excelled. She worked with Donaldina as a translator and interpreter for the Presbyterian mission in the courts, but also the two of them worked to free Chinese women from sex slavery. So, according to Donaldina, I found a cute little quote. It says, there was hardly a court in San Francisco or Oakland where Tye Leung was not known and welcomed as an excellent interpreter. So she was becoming very known. Also, Donaldina was a badass who would take an axe to break down doors to free Chinese women from the brothels. And then Ty would explain in Chinese, no, we're here to help you. Please come escape with us. You know what I mean? Like be that two language translator of we're here to help, but we're totally busting this door down for you.
Is she at all related to Carrie Nation? Like
Maybe that
carrying
same
an
fiery
axe around?
same fiery spirit, but to save girls from prostitution instead of alcohol. It is said because Ty would come on these raids and explain the safety situation. But over the 30 years that Donaldina did this, they rescued over 3,000 girls. So it was fantastic.
That's
uh,
amazing.
I know, right? Breaking down
Yeah.
doors. In 1910, Ty took a civil service exam and became the first Chinese woman employed by the federal government. She worked on Angel Island Immigration Station in the women's quarters. She worked as a translator for detained Chinese immigrants. So I have to explain in full disclosure, Angel Island was not a great place. The place was designed to fulfill the mission of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which was to
Mm.
not allow any Chinese into the United States for fear that they would take jobs away from white people. And so this detention center near San Francisco was a holding place. It was absolutely inhumane. There was barely ever due process of law, but Tye was a voice of comfort, right? A familiar voice within this horrible place. So it's complex, it's problematic, but she saw that she could help. And she said in an interview in the San Francisco Daily News about her job, she said, dull? Never. Always sitting there listening to my countrymen. I listen for little scraps about the great new movements over the sea that is setting them free over there as I have been set free here. So she still tried to find like the positivity in it. She would also try to find people who are like, this could make a really good immigrant. Please allow them in. She would also actually look for girls who were probably being trafficked as well. So she would keep an eye out of who she could help in that detainment center. Um, so then came the election of 1912. She was in the news for being the first Chinese woman to vote in the United States. There is actually a strong chance that she was the first Chinese woman to cast a vote anywhere.
In
Because at the
1912?
1912, yes,
Yeah, she may
exactly.
be the first woman voter, period.
Well, California women were enfranchised to vote in the state in 1911 and
Okay.
permitted to vote in the 1912 presidential primary. It was a special consideration by a special state. Exactly. So yeah, so not only a lot of like really, really early firsts, but she's got that first Chinese woman, at least in the United States. She was interviewed about voting because of course it was very big news. And she said, my first vote? Oh, yes. I thought long and hard over that. I studied, I read about all your men, thought it was cute, who wished to be president, and I learned about the new laws. I wanted to know what was right and not to blindly act. I think we should all try to learn and not vote blindly, since we've been given this right to say which man we think is the greatest. I think too that we are women and we are much more careful than men. We want to do our whole duty more. I do not think this is just the newness that makes us use like that. It is our conscience. Isn't that adorable? What was Bonnie saying?
Your men. That's hilarious.
Your men.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, your men. Uh, so while working on Angel Island, Ty met her future husband, Charles Scholes. He was a white dude. He was like 6 foot tall. I think he was like 6'2", and she's like 4 feet. She is pocket size. She's a little one. But Charles was an immigration service inspector on Angel Island. And there were laws, even though she could vote in California, she could not get married to a white man in California. So they went to Vancouver, to Washington State in 1913, where they could get married, only to come back and lose their jobs because their jobs. Yeah. Their families also did not approve of their marriage, or didn't approve of it either. So, yeah. So they would take spare jobs. They would kind of search for jobs after that time. They were together, but they had to struggle to find livelihood. So Ty would provide interpretation, also social services to Chinatown residents, including working at the San Francisco Chinese Hospital. She also worked at a Chinese tea garden as well. Charles went to work as a special patrol officer and a streetcar motorman. This always makes me think of Maya Angelou, who was also a San Francisco streetcar operator. Later, he would work as an inspector for the train company, South Pacific. And he was also a superintendent of the Columbia Gramophone Company. And an interesting little side note, that company, Columbia Gramophone, it became EMI. So if you're familiar with EMI,
I was gonna guess
especially.
Columbia Records.
It is Columbia Records.
Yeah.
It was the British corporation side, so it became EMI, which the Sex Pistols didn't like, and it also was part of Columbia Records as well. So thought it was cute. But back to Ty. She found a better and more long-term job eventually. So starting in 1926, she took a night shift as a PBX operator for the Pacific Telephone China Exchange. So you know those phone operators that like would plug in the things and have that like microphone around their neck and stuff like that? Yeah, she did that for the China Exchange. She would use the phone to connect Chinese Americans to lawyers, to court and immigration services. She memorized nearly all of the phone numbers, businesses, and organizations in Chinatown. She was like really good at numbers and stuff. She was really good at connecting people, and she really got their respect for how she could connect them and get them where they needed to be and who they needed to talk to. Her son said this about his mom. He said she was always asked to interpret, whether it was for GI brides or immigration, court cases. She never refused to help. So I thought it was very cute. In 1935, her husband died. She raised her 4 children, and then she starts to get into even more fun. I'm just saying, I'm sure it's real sad that Charles died, but she got into a lot more fun because pinballs.
Yeah.
So pinball machines were introduced in Chinatown in the 1930s, and it was very much part of the gambling houses. But our Thai was known as a local pinball wizard. And I actually wish I had more information on this. I found this in 4 different sites that she was a pinball wizard and known as a pinball wizard. But there is a newspaper clipping that might have a little bit more on this, but it's behind a paywall. But I just learned from Bonnie that my library card or Bonnie might be able to unlock this for me.
Yeah.
So I will report back of this glorious article. But as far as I can tell, she really liked pinball machines. She would spend hours playing them. It was a relief, or maybe it was something to do to entertain her 4 kids. You know what I mean? Like it was just something to do together. But it's such a cute little fact about her, and there's more. So after World War II, we're talking 1946, she was wanted back in the immigration office to work as an interpreter. Do you have any guesses of why? Soldiers coming back for more with their GI Bill? Yeah. So there was the repeal of the Chinese Exclusion Act, thank goodness. And then there was the passing of the War Brides Act of 1945. So yay, and then creepy. But this lifted a temporary ban on Asian immigration, as many Chinese wives were joining their husbands in the United States and needed a translator. So yay, I guess. Then a few years later, she was arrested. She was 61 years old. You want to know the reason?
And Bond?
No, she was helping a woman find an abortion,
Nice.
right? Ty was allegedly driving women to abortion clinics. There was an investigation and there was a trial, and all the charges specifically against Ty were dropped. But it also made me think of what her son said, that she likes to help people. She also had this quote that she said, not necessarily in relation to the whole "I'm driving women to abortion clinics," but she said, "I spent my life interpreting for people who needed my help." So it really kind of fits into, if she did, it's helping people. So I loved that. There's a PBS Unladylike 2020
Yes.
video of her, which I will share in the show notes. And in that video, there is this lovely quote. It's by Julia Flynn Siller, who is the author of The White Devil's Daughters. And she said, Tye Leung Schulze was working at a time of extreme anti-immigration sentiments, and this in this country. She quietly fought against it. And I think we have to look at her as our forebearers, people who saw an environment that was not right and worked to correct that. And I felt like that really echoed what was happening now with ICE and immigration and othering. And so I'm like, you know what? I picked this lady because I thought she was funny with her pinball wizards. And then I went, that's deep though. She died in San Francisco in 1972. She was 84 years old. So that is my glorious lady. Dun, dun, dun. Any questions? Bum, 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 bum.
She's amazing.
Great little icon of history. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how she helped people.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps us up for Political Change Month. It also wraps us up for season 8 of the Gals Guide podcast. We will return in January with new episodes and a new theme, and our 300th super special episode. So learn more at galsguide.org. Also follow us on Facebook. And as always, thank you for listening. That's another chapter in our Rebel era. Thanks for being here. If you loved learning about women's history today, don't stop. Discover even more wise gals and untold stories at galsguide.org. Until next time, keep sharing women's stories.